How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I am talking about how to scale a marketing agency beyond the $10,000 a month mark, because I think a lot of people, what happens is, once they get to that $3,000 or $4,000 a month mark, they're kind of capped. They feel like, there's no possible way you could scale an agency further than that. And I know full well in personal experience and also from people that I've learned directly from and underneath that, you can scale an agency to a 7-figure yearly business if you know how to approach it right, and if you actually build the right systems and processes in order to do so. So I think in this video I'm talking about some really sort of high-level stuff. I'm not just grazing the surface here. I'm going to make an incredibly valuable video because this is actually content that I was going to throw into the upcoming program because it's pretty good stuff. But right now I figured I'd just put it on YouTube and kind of make it a little more scrappy, not quite as professional as it would be in the program, and not quite as good, but these are concepts that I wanted to share and put out there on the internet. So just so you know a little about me, my name is Trey Cockrum, and obviously this is my presentation, How to Scale a Marketing Agency to $10,000 a month and Beyond with me, Trey Cockrum. My agency is at a multi-5-figure monthly level, and I've got a lot of people that are learning from me doing the same thing, okay? So we'll just dive into the presentation here and get going. So you can see here, just for some proof of my agency, this is an $8,500 payment from a client. This is actually a $10,000 profit day in total, and so we were able to, we take on clients who sell information products, so people who sell courses or coaching programs or high-ticket done-for-you services. So like I could be my own client, right? So $8,500 payment from a client, so that should be proof that we have a pretty reasonable agency. And if I could find my phone, no, that's all right. I'll show that later. That is actually my phone background, so that is my phone. And here's a student of mine. This is Keaton Walker. He went from zero to about $10,000 profit within about 6 months with me. You can see his Stripe dashboard. The day that he sent me that, I did $1,200, and the day before he did $997. So he's doing incredibly well. And actually, what I do for students who pass the $10,000 a month mark, just to show even more proof that I'm totally legit, is I buy them these rings. I don't know if it'll focus on that, but you can see this little lion ring. It's actually got his initials on it. So you got the K on that side. If it would focus, you got the K on this side right here, and you got the W on that side. So Keaton Walker. And he's actually flying out here to my apartment, and I'm going to give this to him, which will be a really fun day. So that's just even more proof that I am completely legit and that I know what I'm talking about, and that in this video you're going to get a lot out of it. So here's what you're going to need to do. So this is what we're going over in this video. So first, pick a niche, and you're going to want to know who you're serving and what way to serve them best. Okay, you need to develop good messaging. We'll go into this in a moment, but basically it means understand the lingo and understand what it takes in order to sell your service. Okay, let me move my microphone here a little bit. You want to find where they are online, and you want to bring value to them. So what a lot of people do is they assume that like cold outreach, cold messaging, cold calling, cold whatever is the way to go. But if you're a digital marketer and you're using old business tactics to get clients and not using digital marketing to get clients, then in my humble opinion, you are a little bit of a hypocrite, because you need to know how to use your own product, right? You need to know how to use your own service. So, I actually run ads to get clients, and that's a whole other video. But, I spend probably $300 to $400 per sales call for agency clients, okay? And so I actually run ads, send them down a funnel. On the back of that funnel, they can schedule a call with me, and I try and sell my services on those calls. So we can go into that in a later video. But you want to find out how to get them to come to you, basically, because the more you can get them to consistently come to you, the more predictable the scalability of your agency will become, because then it's fully reliant on your ability to sell, and that's something that's fairly easy to get good at if you have a good offer, right? So your selling is never going to be better than your offer, okay? Next thing we're going to go into is understanding their false beliefs and selling to them. So this is a huge thing. We'll dive into what this means on this video, but really you can't sell anything to anybody until they see the value of it, is basically what I'm talking about with this one. Next thing is hiring good contractors. So I actually don't do a lot of the manual labor in my own agency. Again, I focus primarily on getting more clients, right? That's the main thing I focus on. I focus on having sales calls and getting better at getting results for the people that pay us, right? So my agency's name is Coa Media, COAH. It stands for City on a Hill Media, which is that biblical idea of a shining city on a hill, right? So that's the idea. We put our clients on that shining city. And my only role in my agency right now is purely to manage relationships with clients and get more of them. So that's where you want to be, and we're going to talk about that in this video. So really good stuff coming up. Watch it to the end, and if you enjoyed, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel because there'll be more like it. So let's start with picking a niche or a niche, depending on how you're saying it, okay? So picking a niche. You're going to want to select one group of people or one business model and offer and stick to it, and one offer and stick to it with 80 to 90% focus. The reason we're not going 100%, a lot of like internet gurus or like a lot of, agency coaches will say pick one niche and focus on it and don't do anything else until, like, that makes a little bit of sense. But the problem with that is always going to be that you don't know what works until you're on the other side of something working. Okay, so for now, pick something that you feel like could work. Just theorize. And I would recommend getting out a pen and a pad and writing out, 10 to 30 ideas of industries you could tap into. Narrow it down to your top 5 favorites and ask yourself, is there anybody in my local network that I could talk to? Or is there anybody that I know doing this that I could have a good conversation with and actually get going on, figuring out how to market this thing, okay? And the reason we do 80 to 90% is because we want to leave that 20 to 10% focus for like anything else that might work. So any other maybe niches that come along that you don't realize were as good as they were until you were there. My words are being horrible right now. But basically, you don't want to put 100% focus into something until you know it's going to work. And so we want to leave some room for experimentation. And if you notice that the 20% focus you're putting onto this thing over here is beginning to make you more money than the 80% focus you're putting onto the niche that you thought was going to work, then move over to the one that you're putting 20% focus on, right? And that's not something that a lot of people will talk about. They'll say focus on one thing, do one thing. Yes, focus on one thing once you see that the one thing works. Once you're getting paid and you're getting good results, don't do anything else. Another option is to go with what you know for now. So your local network or people you're in contact with, etc. Okay. So you could go to your local network, local business meetup groups, ask your family and friends if they know anybody that is running a business that you could just talk to about, running Facebook ads for them or running Google ads or YouTube ads or whatever it is that you're really wanting to do for these people. And then lastly, study the niche relentlessly. You want to understand their business model in full before you begin servicing them. So when I say in full, I basically mean you need to understand how their business model operates. Like, for example, like when I was doing real estate, because I was doing real estate marketing there for a minute, I knew that real estate agents preferred to get off Zillow if they could, or like home buyer websites, right? So because they sent so many cheap leads. Right, so the problem with Zillow, the problem with these websites is that they spend a bunch of time doing showings and not enough time actually selling. So you need to get buyer leads, not just viewer leads, right? So for example, that's something I learned in order to service real estate clients better, right? So you want to study the niche, really understand what they're doing now and why it fails in comparison to what you're trying to do with them, okay? So that's picking a niche. Next is getting good messaging, because this is basically talking about, how to communicate your offer and how to communicate your service to a potential client. So getting good messaging. So basically this means understanding the business model and knowing what they need to hear to trust you. So like I said just now with real estate agents, right? Like understanding your niche and getting good messaging are very similar, but messaging is what you say in order to show your value, whereas knowing your niche is, the core that allows you to know what to say, right? So studying your niche is like spending hours on the internet and talking to your niche, literally getting on the phone or getting meetings with them. Getting good messaging is basically now you know what their issues are and how to solve them. So, for example, I'll show this on the screen, Plumbers want more hot water unit repair clients because they're fast and pay well. That's an example. If you're going to service a plumbing company, that's a little tip. They like when people send them more hot water unit repair leads because they pay a lot. The clients are desperate and, just want it fixed because, having no hot water in their home is a big deal. It's easy for them to do. It takes probably an hour or two, as opposed to some jobs that pay a tenth as much and take 8 to 9 hours. So if you can fill a plumber's calendar with hot water repair clients, you've won them over forever. Another example is restaurants want return customers, not just one-off ones. So if you're going to work with a restaurant, you want to come up with some sort of a plan to basically create recurring revenue for these people. So how do we get people to keep coming back, basically? Like, we don't want people to just come once. We want people to come once and then again and again and again, because that increases the lifetime value of a customer or a client, and it makes the business more money. So that way you can spend more to acquire as well. So a lot of restaurant owners know this. So if you understand these things, you can sell to them. So this comes down to take a step back from such technical details, this comes down to knowing your niche, okay, and knowing their problems. I have a mentor atop of me right now that is helping me. His name's Michael, and he has a agency that does $110,000 a month, and it is not selling a course. It's not doing anything. He's literally still a done-for-you agency, and he helps personal injury attorneys. And he literally said that the reason that they're at $110,000 a month isn't because they're any better at Facebook ads than anybody else. He's, or LinkedIn advertising, or I forget exactly what they're doing for their clients on a technical level. But whatever, it's paid advertising. He said, we're just as good as any bum really off the street. What we understand is their business model. So if you understand their business model and you understand what they struggle with on a day-to-day basis, like you can live a day in their life, that's when you can sell to them, okay? So like for me, for example, I have a couple different streams of revenue in general. So I have my agency. I understand what information product sellers go through because I am one, right? And I actually sell my own information products, and then I sell my information products as another stream of revenue. And I understand what false beliefs and what issues somebody who's wanting to start an agency goes through. And, you're watching this video right now. Same with my coaching business. I have a coaching business helping people start an agency as well. And then I also do some marketing coaching as well, and I've got all kinds of little offers that sit out on the side, because again, I have that 80 to 90% focus, and I allow 10 to 20% room for experimentation, right? But in general, the only time I've been able to sell anything is when I understand the current state of somebody that I'm selling to. And that's what getting good messaging means, is basically understand where they are now and where they'd like to be, and position yourself kind of as that bridge to get them there, okay? So a little tip, study your niche. Get on some calls with people who run the businesses you're looking to serve, and pay them if you must. This info will be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to you if you use it right. So look, the issue with a lot of people is they're not willing to put in the work to actually study their niche. They want to get straight into making money now, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. I want to make a lot of money as well. My goal with my businesses as a whole is $100,000 a month profit consistently in 2020. And I've actually just moved into this apartment. I've got, brought on new team members. I'm upping my ad spend. I'm doing a lot in order to get there. And so there's nothing wrong with being money motivated, but you've got to understand that, that doesn't do anything for you. What actually does things for you, what actually makes you money at the end of the day, is solving problems. And you have to understand those problems in order to solve them. Okay. So, I did probably 50 to 70 sales calls with like agency clients before I really got that good. I was at like a 10%, maybe 20% close rate, which you can build a really reasonable business on a 10% close rate. But now I'm at like a 40 or 50, and I'm trying to train a sales guy to come on and do it for me because I don't want to be doing it for forever. So yeah, good stuff. So that's what it means when I say get good messaging. Understand your niche, what they need to hear. So, imagine you struggling with something. Let's say, and I think I use this example later in this presentation, but I'll use it now because it works. Imagine you're struggling with like a mental health issue. Imagine you're struggling with some sort of trauma that nobody seems to understand. And you get therapist after therapist after therapist, or counselor after counselor. Maybe you go to your parents, your family, and nobody seems to understand. But everybody, or no, not everybody. Let's say one specific therapist you'll never return to because they were incredibly self-righteous and thought they knew your problem and continued to bash it down your throat, but did not, or into your brain, but didn't actually understand the problem. We want to avoid being that guy. We want to be the guy that subtly shows up out of nowhere, understands the problem, and creates a solution that drops your jaw, right? That's who we want to be. So study your niche, know their problems, know how to communicate the solution to them. So next is find them online. And basically, what a lot of agency owners will do is they'll actually, like I said, cold call, cold message, cold email, cold. And there's nothing wrong with cold, like morally or ethically. But if you want to scale a business long term, you can start with cold at the front. That's okay. Start with cold now, get 2 or 3 clients. That's fine. But if you want to scale to that $10,000 a month level like we're talking about in this video, cold just isn't, it's going to be incredibly hard to do that with cold, okay? I know of people who sent 5,000 to 6,000 messages before they reached the $10,000 a month mark, and I have students doing that in 2 months, because you find them online and get them to come to you. So we'll talk about that now. So finding them online. For example, with my agency, I know that there are a lot of people selling courses, because that's my niche, that hang out in relevant Facebook groups. So in many cases, this is where I source. So, I know that Facebook groups are a good place to go. I also know that for my coaching and course business, YouTube is a good place to go. I know a lot of people around my age, from that 17 to 22-year-old level. I have a lot of people who are watching that are much older than that. Kudos to you, by the way. It's very cool. Who go to YouTube to learn these things. There's a lot of people on YouTube teaching these things, and I might as well join in on that party, right? So you got to know where they're at online and bring them value, okay? Because ultimately you want to get them over what I termed or coined the term of the trust hump. So imagine this kind of this hurdle that somebody has to make it over, and they got to take a big jump. Or they got to climb it manually. But you can help them by getting them to trust you, right? And getting them over this hump, once they're over that hump, selling them is much easier. So once they trust you, once they see that you are the solution to their problem, selling them something becomes radically easier. It's funny because my girlfriend is in sales, right? And I sent her some recordings of my sales calls for various things that I sell, like coaching in the agency, and she was just like, how the heck do you get people to, how do you sell so well? And I told her it's because a lot of my selling comes before the call. People don't realize that your selling doesn't happen on the call. Your selling happens every single day, all the time, constantly, and especially through content. So people need to trust you before they even talk to you, right? Otherwise, you're going to have to get them to trust you on the phone, which is nearly impossible. And if you're to do that, it's going to mean, 2 or 3 weeks of sending new proposals and follow-up emails and all this crap that you just don't want to have to do, right? There's nothing wrong with following up with clients, but goodness, if you can get them to close on the call, do that. It's way easier. It's way more profitable. It's way more fun. And it means more consistency for you. So you want to bring value to them to get them to trust you before you even talk to them, okay? So bringing value. This starts with having good messaging. Imagine, for example, I already used this example. Imagine, for example, struggling with a mental disorder and a self-righteous counselor who doesn't understand your problem begins preaching to you. That is what most agency owners do. If you are a dentist and you're on LinkedIn right now, all you're getting all day, every day is, hi, my name is Xavier and I can help you scale your dentist practice from 2 to 3x more using Facebook ads. Do you have 45 minutes to talk about this? Who cares that your name's Xavier and that you think you can help me? My time is going to go to where I know it benefits me. So give me a reason why I should even care, right? So it really is, it's kind of frustrating to see because agency owners have such a valuable service. Like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, any form of digital advertising, to be frank, is such an incredible cutting edge service. It's only been around a couple years and it's already completely changed the modern economy as we know it, right? It's never going back. And when you understand that and you understand how much of a goldmine we're sitting on, and how few people actually understand how to communicate that gold mine, that's when I personally, as somebody who's educating people on how to start and scale their agencies, get just flustered. Because frankly, the biggest problem that we face is not our ability to get results. It's not our ability to, run ads. At the end of the day, because you can even hire contractors for that, and I'll get into that in a minute. At the end of the day, it's how do we communicate the value of this stuff? And how do we get people to trust us? Because it's been done the same way for an incredibly long time. And getting them to come out of that is going to be incredibly hard, okay? So anyway, we want to avoid this. We must understand our niche, then solve their problems with content, okay? This is the key. You want them basically to consent to their own education and their own value that they're bringing to themselves by watching your content. You don't want them to feel sold at any point in the process. You don't. Because what it means to feel sold is basically, it means like selling your soul to the devil, writing a contract that you're going to regret. You don't want them to feel that way. For example, if you were to watch the sales call of the $8,500 package that I sold that day that I showed you, it was a very casual thing. There was no anxiety on his end or my end. It was, here's the service, here's how valuable it will be, here's how much money it could bring you if things go as well as we're anticipating them to. Is that worth $8,500 to you? And he said, yeah, that's doable, let's do it. And we signed the contract, sent him the invoice, paid through, and he was in. And it really comes down to knowing your niche, knowing their problems, and how to solve them for them, okay? And then solving them with content, as I'm saying here. Get them to come to you, okay? So next thing is break their false beliefs. And this is a bit more on the psychological side of things. So whenever you're selling anything, I'm just going to go into the slide here. A false belief is an idea that someone or something instilled into someone that is accepted at a subconscious level. There are things that we walk around with in our heads that we've never questioned, okay, and we never will question them. And if you look back at one of my previous videos, I talk about how I went from nothing to a multiple 5-figure monthly, or I think it's multiple 6-figure business owner as a 19-year-old kid. And I never finished high school, by the way. So that's another thing about me. I stopped cold turkey on high school. I was actually homeschooled. So I never even was in a public school building. I was in probably 5 times. So I'm kind of like and this isn't an arrogant or like an ego thing, but I walk around kind of forcing people to question what they feel is normal, right? And there's a part of me that really loves that, by the way. I love making people question what is normal. And so your goal as a marketer or as somebody who's selling anything, especially something so transformational as a digital marketing service for their business, is basically to make them look at what they're doing now and think, why the heck have I been doing it this way so long, right? And so you want to break those false beliefs, right? So when you're selling anything, you must understand what falsehoods your market has internally accepted and how to logically and emotionally break them. And I'll go into some examples of what logic and emotional selling are and how those work in a second. But basically, you have 2 sides of your brain, just like I showed up here on this little GIF. We have the right side, which is this, more creative, colorful side, and you have the left side, which is more industrial, mathematical. And we want to speak to both sides of the brain because they're always communicating with each other. And if we're not selling to both, then we're not selling at all. And so we need to understand what emotional hangups they have and what logical hangups they have with working with us. So for example, with attorneys, they're mostly stuck in a, quote, billboard advertising has always worked, so why change it mindset, and are afraid to spend any money anywhere that isn't a guaranteed win, okay? And so, they want to know that their money's going somewhere where it works. And so unless they see a reason why they should give you their hard-earned money, they're not going to. They're a very hard, cold niche. And I know this, again, because it's one of my mentors, right? So you got to understand your niche's false beliefs and provide logical and emotional reasons why the belief is truly false. And you're not going to be able to get on the phone with somebody and say, hey, what are your false beliefs? That's not how that works. It's more so throughout the process of presenting these ideas to people, making the content, for example, going to where they are online and making this content. You're going to learn what people feel doesn't work as well as you claim. You're going to figure out what they feel is broken in your process, or maybe you'll find the creative ways that they compare your ideas to the ones that they've already internalized, right? So you got to understand these things. And here's some logical versus emotional selling. So logical is mathematical and results oriented. Example, we can spend $500 to acquire a client versus $800 with billboard advertising, right? And these aren't real numbers. These are just examples that I brought up. But, if you could say, hey, we could spend less to acquire a client. It's a very logical sale, Another logical sale could be, we control the process a bit better. If we want to change a billboard, that takes 3 weeks. If we want to change an ad, it takes 30 seconds. That's another logical sell. It's time, it's money, it's resource. It's resource oriented. There's a client of mine that I'm working with, and he's the founder of this large manufacturing company, and he actually wants to come out with information products and coaching programs, helping other founders of like these baby boomer industrial businesses, helping them lead their millennial teams better. And we have a great conversation every now and again. We have a meeting a week right now on his account talking about how we're operating. And by the way, we're talking like $50,000 to $100,000 packages. This guy's absolutely amazing, incredibly blessed to have him as a client. But one of the things that we talked about was you're either resource oriented or you're people oriented. So another way of looking at logical versus emotional selling is either resource or people. Okay, so with logical selling, you're talking resource, money, time, energy, examples like that, right? With emotional selling, you're talking people. So I'll read this. It says, comparing to others who are following your methods, for example, or showing other results in the life changes that came with them, or understanding their deepest desires, which are like taking care of family, keeping their reputation, etc., and helping them with these things. So you look at logical, you see it's all resource. You look at emotional, you see it's all people. The reason people have emotions is primarily because of their social dealings. All right, so you want them to see how this helps them socially with their family, with their friends, with their reputation, with their status, whatever it may be, right? So you want to speak to both of these things, resources and people, okay? That's logical and emotional selling. So most people's false beliefs come from, whoops, I tapped the mic there. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Most people's false beliefs come from the logical realm. If they're not from the logical realm, they're from the emotional people realm. So like, for example, it could be, a business was passed down from generation to generation, and the father told the now owner of the company, his son, never to try digital marketing because it's never worked and it never will, right? And he knows that digital marketing works, but he just doesn't want to go against his father, right? That's an example of an emotional sale that you'll probably have to work through, right? Or a logical sale could be, we spend $10,000 a month on billboards and we make back 60. Can you give us a better ROI than that? And at which point you're going to have to point to other case studies. If you're totally new and you've never serviced people before, say that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But point at other industry averages maybe, or other case studies. Or if you have a contractor that you've brought on, which we'll talk about in a second, you can talk about the contractor's results, what the contractor's been able to do, so that you can leverage the contractor's abilities, right? And speak to your contractor as if they're your team. My team has been able to do this. It's very helpful in your logical and emotional selling process. So now we're talking about the final point in this video, which is hiring contractors, okay? So this is a crucial element if you're going to scale. So you honestly probably couldn't scale, past 2 or 3 clients unless you begin hiring, okay? You could, but you'd be working 10-hour days and you'd be going nuts, okay? And it wouldn't be worth it. What's worth it to you? Your sanity, or which would you rather have? Your sanity, or $6,000 to $10,000 a month? Yeah, like I would rather have my emotional security and my ability to sleep at night, right? So hiring contractors is where we go. So note, these are workers that you don't have to pay until the work is being done or has been done. This keeps margins high. I pay my contractors about 15 to 35% of what a client pays me, depending on the work, or sometimes even less, right? So, I have 2 contractors. I have a Facebook ads guy and a copywriter, and I'm wanting to bring on a funnel builder soon, so I'll end up having 3 contractors eventually. But that's none of the matter really. I paid my copywriter $500 to write up 5 ad angles, so $100 per ad angle. An ad angle is basically just the text that goes on an ad, and this is for one of our clients, right? So he wrote up the ad angles, he went through the client's business, understood their business, did all the work that I would otherwise have to do, and came out with copy that was probably better than what I could do. Okay, sorry about that cut. My SD card filled up, and then I had to plug in a hard drive, and all kinds of crazy stuff happened. That was literally 20 minutes that I just cut. So anyway, though, regarding contractors, I think I was talking about how I paid my copywriter just $500 for, $100 per angle. And they wrote better copy than I could have, and they spent more time going through the client's business than I had available at that moment, right? And so if you get the right contractors, not only are they cheaper, but they make you more money and they save you more time. And so a contractor is not a liability. It is a massive, massive asset, okay? Or they are a massive asset, and they're people, I say it, but that's not good. They're people, and I've also trained them very intensely too. So I've actually put them both through, I don't know how much I've paid for this, probably $6,000 to $10,000 of training, right? Just to get them kind of on par with what I know about scaling information product businesses, okay? And that really helps, because then you have real people that you can train, that you can get to your level of skill, and that understand the vision as much as you do, and probably can do it better than you can, right? So I have the 2 team members that I have now are sharp, man. They're really, really good at what they do. And if they weren't working with me, they'd still be making, 6 figures with their own businesses, their own companies. So it's beautiful that they're working with me. The next point is have them communicate with your clients on your behalf, so you can focus on selling more clients and scaling. So this is a huge deal. So all you want to do as an agency owner is focus on 2 things. You want to focus on getting better results for the people who pay you, and you want to focus on getting more people to pay you. And that's about it. And if you're focusing on anything else, then you are spending time in the wrong place, okay? If you get them to communicate with your clients on your behalf, so maybe you have a Slack channel. Like I have Slack. I use Slack. I used to use WhatsApp for a lot of stuff. Now I use Slack. And each client has another channel. And I just have the contractors that are working on those accounts in that channel. And you can have, 8 to 10 contractors, depending on what you do. Like, let's say you do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I don't recommend that. And it's going to be impossible to scale. But, that pretty much totally destroys any skill set reason for you not scaling, because you can find that skill set and have them communicate with the client for you and just basically do all the technical work while you manage the relationship. And when I say manage the relationship, I mean managing expectations primarily, what they need from me and what they need from my contractors, and also making them feel special, like genuinely, honestly, like making sure that they know that you care about them and their business, right? And an example could be, my student Keaton, like I buy them these rings, and I really go above and beyond to create an experience and to be more than just a commodity for somebody. And you want to stay there. If you're a commodity and you're selling a commodity and you're selling it's something I learned back in wedding photography. When I was doing wedding photography, there was this guy named Joe Busing, and he's this Hollywood wedding photographer, and he gets paid like $10,000 per wedding, like $20,000 per wedding in some cases. And he basically said, look, man, if you are positioning yourself as a commodity and you are selling yourself as an option among others and not as an exclusive, then you're going to stay constantly in competition with the other people doing the same thing. And you don't want to be there. Like with my agency, it frustrates me when people price compare, not because it's anything wrong with them, but because I am not doing a good enough job at showing them that we're not like other agencies, right? That I take a ton of pride in what I do and want it to be done incredibly well, right? And that my clients are my lifeblood, and that I care about them as people as much as I do clients, right? And when that's not communicated, then you're just going to be budgeted across other options, and you don't want that. So that's a little off topic from the contractor thing, but you want to evolve from being a commodity to being an experience. And if you can be and sell an experience, that's when you can start to charge insane rates. And that's what got me from where I was to where I am now. It's why I can afford this apartment. It's why I can afford to pay my team so well. It's why at 19 years old, with no degree, no anything like that, no credentials, I am able to run the company I'm able to run because I understand these things. So, and there's things that everybody can understand. There's truly nothing special about me, really, honestly. So last thing, you can get contractors from these places: Upwork.com, onlinejobs.ph, freelancer.com, and Facebook groups. Those are the 4 places that I've used primarily, my favorite 2 being Facebook groups and onlinejobs.ph. a couple notes with onlinejobs.ph. That is a website that you can go to hire workers from the Philippines, and they're not always 100% efficient. I'll just say that outright. But when you find the right one, gosh, do you find the right one? They are so incredibly loyal and hardworking. It's amazing. And I have one right now. For example, I have a onlinejobs.ph hire right now where he's taking all the coaching calls from all my students that I have one-on-one calls with and uploading them to my course on how to start an agency. Every week, every Saturday, he goes through all our calls and does that, moves them over, and I only pay him like $10 a week to do that. And he's totally content. And he actually took the self-measure to upgrade his Google Drive account so he could store more of my calls. So it's pretty amazing. And then with Facebook ads, guys, for example, they just genuinely care. So onlinejobs.ph is a great place to go. Upwork.com is much more professional. You're going to spend a lot more on somebody, and you're going to spend a lot more time filtering through people because there's a lot of new people out there because it's very popular right now. Upwork is very popular for like digital marketing consultants. So you're going to spend a lot of time, filtering through people. But if you find the right one and you feel like you could budget out their rate, then bring them on. And with all these options, freelancer, Facebook groups, Upwork, online jobs, you're going to want to interview like 20 to 30 of them, if not more. I went through probably, I would say I did 40 or upward interviews before I found the people I found. And the main reason I like them is because they come from the same side of the industry. They hang out with other information product sellers. They've been to the masterminds. They understand this stuff. And, it's not even their skill level. Like I can train them more. I can send them to, seminars. I can pay for courses for them. It's, do they understand the vision, and that's the most important thing for me. At your level, it may be the skill set, and that's totally fine. Go for somebody with a skill, pay for someone with a skill. Don't shortcut that. But long term, it's about the people at the end of the day. And then with Facebook groups, basically all you're doing is just joining a Facebook group that's relevant to your thing. So like find a Facebook advertisers Facebook group and just put out a post. Hey, I've got some clients potentially in the pipeline looking for somebody who runs Facebook ads or can run Facebook ads for this niche, and then just tell them what the niche is, and then you'll get some applicants, get some messages, have some interviews, and pick one. And then there's not a lot that you need to do legally. Don't take my advice on that though. I think you may need to sign a W-2 form or something like that in order to have your taxes straight. But talk to an accountant and figure that out. Onlinejobs.ph and Upwork.com and Freelancer.com handle those things for you. But Facebook groups, that might be a different conversation to have. So that is about it for this presentation, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really wanted to make something that was incredibly detailed, something that maybe people hadn't put out before on YouTube. And hopefully this is a video that does well and that a lot of people see and that a lot of people understand the basics at this point, and what it takes to scale. Because, with my students who are doing well, I've got students doing $20,000, $30,000 a month. Like Keaton's just one among many, right? I just decided to pull his name out of the hat. And I've also got a lot of students that don't want me to share, and I totally respect that. But that being said, if you want real help, if you want to evolve from somebody who's purely spending time on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and actually put some skin in the game and make this work on a real level, like we're talking change your life forever, start a real business, and do it with somebody who's done it and helped other people do it a million times, there's a link in the description where you can apply for a one-on-one call with me. And on this call, I'm going to see either whether you are qualified for one-on-one help with me through coaching or if you're a good fit for the program. And if you're not, I will honestly tell you, you can ask everybody in my Facebook group and where else, have you gotten a no from Trey? And you'll get lots of yeses. Lots of people have gotten a no from me. I'm really not there to sell, to make money. I'm there to find people who are a good fit, that I can help, that you would love to work with me and that it would work well for both of us. And if that's the case, then we'll get rocking. So schedule a call. Free 15-minute call down below, and it will either be me or a team member handling your time, and you'll be taken very well care of. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, leave a like, leave a comment of anything you learned or any recommendations for videos that you'd like to see. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and come back regularly for more uploads. I'm going to try and upload at least 2 to 3 times a week. from here on out, especially with a new apartment. I can focus on a new level, and I'm already seeing the rewards of getting such a nice spot. And the mastermind is coming soon as well, so it's going to be called the Lion's Den Mastermind, because obviously the theme seems to be lion, right? Like becoming sheep killers or whatever, so we have this little lion ring, for example. We've got the lion seems to be the thing, so the Lion's Den Mastermind is coming very, very soon. And message me on any platform if you're interested in that. I'll get you a quote, get you a date, and see if you can't come out here. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video.